The bottom line of it is that motherboard, that programming within the subconscious is what determines our perceptions. So it's
Yeah.
how we see the world. It's how we see ourselves in the world. And
Right.
that leads 85, 95% of studies say what's in that programming determines our results. So in order to change the perceptions, I had to go in and identify and then shift that programming that's causing limitation.
You are listening to 5 a.m. podcast. Your morning motivation starts here.
Good morning, friends, and welcome to the 5 a.m. podcast. I'm your host, Michael Clausen. Now, as you know, we often talk on this show about the hustle, the strategies, and the grind of leadership. But have you ever felt like you're doing all the right things, the late nights, the strategic planning, the networking, and yet your business is still hitting a ceiling? Now, maybe you're stuck at $250,000 or $500,000, and no matter how hard you push, you can't seem to move that needle. Well, today we're going to find out why. Our guests are leaders who have worked together to shatter those ceilings and move that needle, brought together by Dr. Joseph Drolshagen. Dr. Joseph has been named one of the top business coaches in America for 5 consecutive years and is the creator of the SMT method. That's subconscious mindset training. He uses his background in corporate sales and a doctorate in psychology to help leaders close what he calls the knowing doing gap. But we aren't just talking theory. We also have 2 power players who have walked this path. Derek Chinners, founder of ProSwip, and Mose Nisley, the owner of Mako Products. They're here to share exactly how reprogramming their subconscious changed their lives and businesses forever. Joseph, Derek, and Mose, welcome to the 5 a.m. podcast.
Great to be here with all you guys.
Yeah,
This-
glad to
this-
be here.
This is like a powerhouse right here. Getting to sit here and be a part of this with you guys and see you guys, it's like, wow. Wow, this
Yes.
is the reality of life.
Dr. Joseph, we'll start with you, and you can tell us how you met Derek and Mose.
Yeah, I think, Derek, didn't we meet at a workshop? God, it's been a little while ago now. How did we meet? I'll let
No,
Derek.
I think I just Googled. I think I Googled subconscious mind. I've always been fascinated with the subconscious mind programming. I think I was reading Dr. Joseph Murphy's book again for like the 10th time. And then I just was like, man, does anyone even know about this? And I think I Googled it and you popped up and I submitted a form on your website, I think. And then you called me.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. And Joseph Murphy, his book was a turning point in my life. It opened up doors and avenues that ended up being what I get to do today through that. But when he talked about the subconscious, I had all the pieces all over, but I didn't have them where I understood them until, that's a great book.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
good.
I read it at least once a year. That and psycho-cybernetics is really kind of, nothing really started changing for me until I kind of identified with what I wanted to be. Like instead of wanting, I want to be that. I am that, and then it kind of, it's almost like a switch.
Yes. And how about for you, Mose? How did you find Joseph?
Me, it was in 2022. I was burned out, and I knew I was in the right business. I was doing what I loved in a sense, but still I was burned out. And so on LinkedIn, I came across one of Joseph's videos, and it clicked for me. And there too, I went on his schedule a call with him, a 15-minute call, I believe it was the first call, and it just clicked for me. And so yeah, we scheduled a follow-up call, whatever, and then we got started with and it just, everything felt right. And out of the blue, like I wasn't necessarily, I was thinking about, a coach or something, someone to help me, but just out of the blue, he came across him, and I still wish I would know what that video was that clicked for me. But I was looking for someone, but yeah, not necessarily actively looking at that time, but in the back of my mind, it was like, sometime I want someone to help me.
Yeah.
And been a tremendous, huge blessing and very good results. Yep.
Yes. Well, we're going to get into that. And ladies and gentlemen, if your whistle has been wetted by what we're talking about already, the link for you as a listener of 5am podcast is 5am.smtmethod.com. We'll have that in the show notes and up on the screen. As you're listening to this, you're going to find some other reasons to jump on that link and schedule a call with Dr. Joseph. I'm getting ready for a great conversation and finding out how to move that needle and what all the subconscious talk is about and how it impacts every component of our lives. Joseph, I feel that this isn't just about improving business life, but every component of our lives probably changes.
I would say absolutely it's true. Yeah. You can't just grow a business without it impacting every other area of your life. So in this process of the SMT method, it's about developing that life, becoming ultimately, Michael, it's becoming of that person in the vision, becoming that person in the desires. And how does that person wake up? How do they go to bed? How do they spend their day? What's their relationships like, their, health and well-being? It goes across the board with all of it.
Right. You've helped businesses at different financial levels, some in bankruptcy proceedings and other parts of that profitability spectrum. Why is it that business owners' strategy usually isn't the problem, but it's the subconscious?
Well, the reason being is if you have the subconscious programming that's causing limitation,
Mm,
and I can walk through that in a minute. We have that motherboard, what I call a motherboard in our subconscious that hosts all of our patterns, paradigms, our experiences, even, and Derek, I know you know this well, even experiences somebody told us about that we didn't live, and we take
mm.
those on, and that
Wow.
produces our perceptions of how we see the world, how we see ourselves in the world. And there's been studies that say 85 to 95% of that subconscious programming is what we experience in our results in our life. So
Wow.
if you're building strategies based on having all of those blocks going on, this strategy can't be successful. So once we shift that and open the doorways, then all of a sudden we start setting different strategies that are in alignment with us being that person of that $50 million, $100 million, whatever size business
Right.
is that you desire. So it brings that alignment to it. So then when we start developing strategies, action plans, things like, we're doing it from a much higher vibration of being into alignment with that person we want to become.
Wow. Okay, so then I'm thinking about weeds in my garden from what you're saying. So you can correct me if I'm wrong, but did I hear you say that so even things that conversations we hear, maybe videos or movies we watch or other people's experiences can actually come into our subconscious and kind of be like weeds in a garden and ruin our business?
Well, let me do this a different way rather than answering it, because I
Okay.
know, Derek, you have experience with somebody telling you about a multi-million dollar business, and that almost tweaked what you desired to achieve based on that. You
Hmm.
want to share that?
Yeah, a buddy of mine I grew up with, he has, I want to say he's at about 70 million right now.
Hmm.
And he's got private jet, and I think we were on a private jet headed to Vegas just to for a fantasy football draft. And I was talking to him about because I'm real interested in acquiring other businesses as well, and he's very much in the hustle and grind, have to do everything himself, kind of micromanage. Um, and I just turned 50. He's the same age, and he's got gray hair, and you could kind of see it on his face, like he's done.
Hmm.
Like I mentioned, like, hey, what do you think about buying other businesses? And he looked at me like, why would you ever do that? No, like he's done, like, because he's been doing this since we were 23 years old, hustle and grind. I mean, just in a construction business. So I mean, he's done built it with his bare hands, if you will, and almost turned me off to it, because it's, my subconscious programming was like, well, a lot of blocks there. If I want to be successful, want to be a multi-million dollar business owner, I'm gonna have to work 80 hours a week. I'm gonna have to ignore my everything else in my life, my
Hmm.
health, my family, my faith, and that's all I could do is just focus on my business, ignore everybody else. And that was kind of my programming, and we sort of worked through some of those things. And, not even to mention some of the other things, like rich people are bad, or rich
Mm.
people are a-holes, And so if I
Yes.
become rich, then I'm just going to be a bigger uh, a-hole, right? Or, people, if you see on programming all day on TV, left and right, it's always the evil rich corporate guy, right?
Yes.
Like, but as I started building the business, I was like, hey, I can build it my way, focused on customer service. I'm taking care of multiple families that are this business is providing for multiple families. This business
Mhm.
is solving a critical problem for my customers. And then kind of when I flipped the switch to like, it's almost my duty to
Hmm.
promote this business because I'm doing a good service. And then, everything else was just kind of hogwash, that was just
Wow.
built. I mean, it's just a ceiling in there, right? Like if I want to be rich right here, but no, you think all rich people are bad and evil. Well, I don't
Yes.
want to be evil. So then every time I go this way, it's going to be like, no, we don't want to be evil. No, we don't want to be evil, and
Right.
I grew up in, go to school from 9 to 5, sit at your desk, get in line, do what you're told to do, don't ask questions, get a job, go work for somebody else, be the little worker bee, save in your 401k. Um, and it was really hard for me to let go of that. That's kind of like my whoopee blanket
Right.
that I
Yeah.
still had when I started talking to Joseph. I still had a W-2, and I was
Hmm.
literally kind of like, no, no, this is my whoopee. I can't sleep without my whoopee. Like he's
I get that.
it was
Yep.
yeah. So it was really, to sum it up, Michael. It was
Yes.
I want more money, but I'm talking to my good friend that's been doing this for 30 years. More money, more problems is what I see on his face. And so
Ah,
it's like, then my subconscious mind is like, yeah, no, we don't want that. Like,
yeah.
stop,
Right.
stop doing that.
Wow.
Right.
Trying to protect you in a
For
sense.
Yes.
me, looking from hearing from Derek, there was, the money magnifies your personality
Hmm.
is what I kind of believe, and I've heard quotes like that. So if you're going to be a nice guy, you can't. If you're a nice guy with little bit of money, you can also be a nice guy with a lot of money, and you can be a lot nicer guy with a lot of money. So,
Oh,
but yeah, the general culture or whatever is like, oh, that guy is rich and he doesn't care about anyone, or well, we don't know how
mm.
much he tithed that year or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like,
Right.
and
Yeah. It
we
was
don't
a,
need to know that, but yeah, there's
it was a
the
very long conversation with Joseph. Like,
Hmm.
how do you feel about this? Well, I feel all rich people, well, I was taught all rich people are evil, or they just got super lucky, or they're a-holes. Right. And I don't want to be an a-hole. And he's like, well, are you an a-hole? And I'm like, well, no, I'm a super nice guy, actually. I'm a big teddy bear if you get past the exterior, and he's like, well, then what are you worried about?
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't
Wow.
know. Where'd
For
it come from? It's just somebody said it when I was 7. I don't know.
Yes.
yeah.
And part of the whole thing is with this, and we'll get into it more, I'm sure, Derek, as
Yes.
you've experienced the other side. You've experienced building wealth beyond what you've done up until this point, and still having freedom of time, having time to do what you want to do and stuff like that. But Mose, I really want you to share, because one of the experiences, like I said, is January, February, March for you when we started working together.
So is
For
that
me,
the
that
first
was
3 months? Is that the first 3 months of working together?
Go
no,
ahead,
no,
explain it, Mose.
it was in September, but the January, February, March is we're in the retail toy houseware gift industry, and so October, come Christmas, as people are shopping gifts, they're in a different mindset in
Yeah.
October, November, and December than they are in January, February, March. And for me, that was my ceiling. Is like we're slow, and in January, February, March, and I didn't want to be that, but I didn't know how to break past that ceiling. And and now I still hear, stores, my customers saying to me like, oh yeah, we're really slow, and our businesses are businesses like sales kept increasing even in January, February, and March from year over year. By talking with Joey and breaking through that, we could still handle more physical workload through January, February, March, but orders show up that I didn't plan for or didn't, wasn't where if I would have been in that, under my ceiling in that vibration frequency, then they probably wouldn't have shown up. Where if I just open up, it's like, I'm grateful for all the orders that we get. And that allowed the sales to continue to grow. And so, yeah, it was huge for me to, and I still have to work, with that, if like, occasionally, we just got through January, February, March. Today is the last day of the first quarter already.
Yes.
And we had a phenomenal year or through first quarter here already that I could, it's just orders showed up, and I still, like, I could go fishing or whatever. Like, I'm not working from 5 to 9 or whatever. Like, I barely work 8 hours a day in the office here, and the orders showed up, and that was where Joseph really helped me with that of, getting past that. And you don't, just because you're doing a lot doesn't mean you're getting a lot done. Like,
That's for sure.
and because I was also taught, like, maybe like Derek is, you got to be working just continuously in order to build something. Sorry, you don't have to. And it's a lot easier than we thought it is.
Right.
But
If I could add something to that,
Yes,
that
please.
January, February, and March, which was earlier stated as the lowest months of the year of business, toppled over highs. You broke many highs in that year for January, February, and March. And really what it was is your willingness to be open to a different experience. The open-mindedness, both of you guys having an open mind. And sometimes we had to talk about that and stuff like that, but that open-mindedness is really what makes you the hero of the journeys you guys have both experienced. And in doing so, now we have those results so you can carry it forward. But ultimately what it is it was the shifting of perceptions. So you believed, because of your past experiences, January, February, March are the lowest months of the year. And you experience that every single year over and over and over and over again. And now all of a sudden, here comes this guy that you meet on LinkedIn or whatever, and we start working together. And I go, what if it's not? What if that can be your highest months? And we start developing, we start building the tools and everything around that possibility of that, which didn't add extra labor and exhaustive efforts and all of that. It didn't add worry, doubt, fear, anxiety. It actually started building into that excitement, and then all of a sudden that's what you experience. And that's living from, ultimately, none of us can go out and get to that place we want to get to. We have to come from it within the inside. And you gentlemen, both of you guys do that so well, and have learned and picked up on this so much. It's just been such a blessing to get to know and work with both of you guys.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
we literally just had that conversation in February. I was like, oh man, because I've hired more people now. I've got all this payroll, and February is usually such a dog of a month. It's a short month. And he's just like, he'll just talk me off the ledge. He's like, you talk me off the ledge, Do you want it to be, the worst month of the year? Oh, what if it was the best month of the year? I'm like, well, that would be awesome. Spark the vision. And yeah, February, we had our best month ever in January, and then February was a short month, and we beat January. So I can't even explain that.
Nice.
Wow. Dr. Joseph, what's actually happening in the brain that stops us from executing what we think we want? Or do we even just need to change what we think we want?
Absolutely, Michael. And that last part you added in there, that's what a lot of people do. They got this huge vision of what they see their business being and everything else. And then they run into a hiccup, and they run into another one, and all of a sudden they're struggling. And now they lower down those expectations. And so many business owners will live on minuscule scraps of what they truly desire to build and experience because of that. And so, in everything I teach, we're talking about this and we have the tools, we have the SMT method and we can follow through it and everything and all of that. I didn't have any of those when I was 22 years old and couldn't figure out what was broken in me. It's been a lifelong journey that continues to learn how to be enough, how to feel like I'm enough, how to do things and really get results out of them instead of mediocre results, and that being the best I can do. And overcoming things like, born on the wrong side of the tracks, being in Detroit, Michigan, low income family, I was never expected to do much other than finish high school, and get a job in blue collar America. And I have a lot of respect because my whole family's come from that and stuff, but I wasn't expected to do any of this stuff. The fact that I'm here with you, the fact that I got to work with you two gentlemen, you're living the life you're living. It shouldn't be so based on looking at past experiences and where I come from and stuff. But what happens is we have this, again, within the subconscious, there's this programming that hosts all of our patterns, our paradigms, our experiences, our belief systems, all of that's in that motherboard. And what happens is it's the voice we hear in our head, but it's also responsible to trigger brain waves to the actions we take or don't take. So somebody growing up the way I grew up and having an opportunity to take over a company, a multi-million-dollar company at 21 or 22 years old, and 3 days later saying, no, I can't do that. It took me months to figure out, why am I saying that? And then what it came down to, it took almost a month to figure it out. The reason I answered that way is because I thought I didn't deserve that because I didn't work hard enough for that opportunity. That's when I knew I was what I call broken. And I didn't know how to fix it. And I started seeking from there forward. So a lot of the things I do now and I get to do with clients, man, I just love to see doors open. I love to see that like pop happen, where it's like, I get it, and see those changes happen. But for me, every one of those things in the 3+ decades of that I've been involved with it, every one of those areas was I don't know. I don't even know if this is the right thing to do or not. I don't know what I'm doing here. I've never done this before. And I didn't have a person that I could go out to and say, hey, show me this, so it was all but I was brought through that. We speak a lot about Christ and the entire SMT method is not from me. It came through me.
Yeah.
And the reason I know that is because every module relates directly to scripture. And I wouldn't have known to plan it that way, to be honest with you.
Right.
Growing up in the business life I grew up to, you'll leave God at the door when you walk into work.
Right. Yeah, it's something.
So that it worked out that way and seeing it happen. But so again, the bottom line of it is that motherboard, that programming within the subconscious is what determines our perceptions. So it's how we see the world. It's how we see ourselves in the world. Right. And that leads 85, 95% of studies say what's in that programming determines our results.
Yes.
So in order to change the perceptions, I had to go in and identify and then shift that programming that's causing limitation. And we do so in a way that's unique. Even both of you gentlemen, the process, the journey you experienced was not mimicked from each other. It was a unique journey for you and who you are, what you desire, all of that built into it. And so as we go through this now, we identify what the programming is that's causing the limitation. We shift that, and there's various tools and ways of doing that that's unique to the individual. And then what that does is it changes how we see ourselves in the world, which automatically has to change our results.
When we think about those weeds and words that are spoken to us, people respect their ministers, but some got their own version of stinking thinking, and they might have told you, me, or the person next to us that we should emulate poverty. We should have a vow of poverty. Let's just enjoy being poor and miserable. When Jesus said there's an enemy that only comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but I came that you could have abundant life and have it to the full, exceedingly abundantly beyond what you can imagine. So we need to start doing some better imagining than what's been put into our brain. Correct me if I'm wrong on this question, but how do we identify the specific attachment patterns that are keeping our business small?
Don't think there's a one point. It's a continuous process. So we start out in developing the vision. As we're developing a vision, and we have a guy named Joseph helping us to expand that even bigger than what we can call, and we're going, that's crazy. We start out with that's crazy, but then we start building some excitement, discussion. As we're doing so, we're tapping into that programming causing limitation. And so as we run into that, we identify that, we start shifting that, which then opens it up more. And then as we start bridging that gap from where we are to where we want to be, throughout that entire process, we're continually bumping into patterns and paradigms and limited beliefs and things like that, that we can then open up, look at, because we can't do anything about anything we're not aware of. So as we
Yeah.
become aware of them, then we can identify those and shift those and open those up. And continuously, as we're doing so, it's not a drudgery type of a thing. What it is it's exciting, because as we identify and open it up, then all of a sudden we start noticing results matching that opening up. It's a continuous flow of excitement as we start getting successes early on in the program.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Mose, we'll start with you. We understand that quality things cost quality money, right? You get what you pay for. And so, would you be able to quantify for us? And I'm going to ask Derek the same thing. The results are far more than money, but money is a great way to keep score. Based on what you've paid and what you've received back, like what kind of a multiple could you put on that of what you've reaped from these seeds sown?
From working with Joseph,
Yeah.
I don't have an exact number of, what I actually paid him, but it was
Hmm.
well worth every penny. And I know that because it's not just for the 3 years that he walked with me. This is for life. If
Yeah.
I want to use it and keep applying that, it was well worth every penny for me. It was huge to walk with me, and I would have been able, and I still can, call him and we can chat about something or whatever. And
Hmm.
so having that personal connection for me, um, with the tools that he helped me of, the perception, the mind shift change,
Hmm.
was, yeah, well worth every penny of it.
Mose, I know exact numbers and stuff like that, but because it's my job as a coach, I feel it is you've gone 100 times beyond
Wow.
what the investment was for us to work together. And here's the other really
Yeah,
awesome thing about what I do. I don't know anybody's path. What I'm really seem to be really good at is helping them identify that. And so part of
Hmm.
the process as we're working through this is Mo and I are speaking about certifying him in the SMT method so
Ah,
he
okay.
can start utilizing that
Wow.
in his world and things like that. That's a huge thing with it. So that, I mean,
Wow.
we say it's not all just monetary, but there is the monetary side of it, but
Yeah.
it's so much more like, beyond just the monetary side of things.
because
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, it sounds
working
like a
with Joseph, I've realized now, and like one thing that he helped me with was, I always labeled myself as I'm not a people person. And
huh.
by the time by the time we got done or halfway through wherever, it was like, oh, I'm actually a people person. And I've told, like, my some of the employees that work for me, and or I don't like close friends, whatever. I told them, it's like, yeah, you know what, a couple of years ago I had labeled myself as I'm not a people person. They laughed at me as like, oh, you're always been a people person. But I had labeled myself as I'm not a people person, so I was, even if I had opportunities to, chat with people or whatever, like I just labeled myself and sat back in a corner somewhere
Hmm.
to meet that label. And I am a people person. Like I
Yeah.
love interacting with people now. And yeah, so that also helped me, with helping, um family members, employees, like working through challenging times. And we all have struggles. We did, we just don't share it really,
Right.
because we
Yeah.
all do. Like, and everyone's different. Something to me, a people person that it has really identified themselves as a people person is like, well, that's just a stupid or
Yes.
whatever. Like, that's nothing to stress about or, back up in a corner about, but it's just we all have different challenges. And
Right. Derek, how would you answer that?
Oh man, I don't really focus on the numbers. I just go get I go out and kill something and drag it home. My wife does all the finances. So, but I mean, it's got to be easily 100x. I think I'm still on the intro program with this original pricing. So,
Okay.
but I would really just say it's priceless. I mean, it's really just, and to go back to your point, from a Christian perspective, somebody brought up to me, Deuteronomy 8:18. It is the power, the Lord your God who gave you the power to create wealth.
Yes.
And when I reframe it like that, I'm on a mission from him to do this, to show people you don't have to be poor. How am I going to take care of my family, and how am I going to donate to the church, and how am I
Mhm.
going to take care of, I can coach my kids' 6-man football team. I coach my kids' baseball team. I never miss an event ever. My daughter just did Chronicles of Narnia, the witch and the wardrobe, and she was the witch, and I made every event, and that's really
Wow.
what it's all
That's
about. So I mean,
priceless. Yeah,
absolutely priceless. Yeah.
that
So,
is.
and to go back to what Mo said, I've always been a people person, a sales guy, but then I would say I'm not a good manager of people, or I'm not a good leader of people, because
Mm.
I was always a lone wolf. Just let me
Okay.
go do my thing and do sales, and just I'll get my numbers. Y'all leave me alone. And so now I have to hire people. And I remember, like, when I first started, I had a VA in the Philippines, and I had like one girl, and Joseph is like trying to tell me, like, hey, look, so you have this big vision now, and she comes from this other vision when you started, when you were small, and she was really a big limitation. And I was just like petrified
Mm.
to fire this girl. Like, how am I gonna I can't, there's no good people, and it's just like everything you get into, it's like, okay, I gotta hire people. Well, there's no good people. Well, if I think there's no good people,
You're right.
guess who guess what I'm gonna get, right?
Yes.
Right.
Right.
And so
yeah,
I just think back about it. I mean, I think at the time I was trying to make it to 40,000 a month, and it was a side business, and then we weren't even close to that. It was almost like that at a yearly
Huh.
rate, and then after Joseph, I think I blew through that in no time, and the
Wow.
rest is history, really,
Oh, that's good. Such good responses. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you're listening and you want to blow through some benchmarks or some wrong thoughts, you want to be in that spot where you can build generational wealth and leave legacies for not just your children and not just your grandchildren, but the next generation, even. Head over to 5am.smtmethod.com and schedule a conversation with Joseph. Now, gentlemen, one of the things that I like to talk about is I like to read old books. And I wanted to share something with the three of you and our listeners, and then each of you give me your feedback on how this has proven true in your let's say before and after. Dr. Joseph is so this is Mark 11:24, but it's from the Wycliffe Bible translation for modern English. If you go for the original one, boy, you're going to need a dictionary and a notepad. But this one says, "Therefore I say to you, all things whatsoever you're praying shall ask, believe that you shall take it, and they shall come to you." And in the older one, it actually says, run, they shall run to you. So, Dr. Joseph, we'll start with you. Can you give us a little bit of commentary on your system with what that verse is saying?
Absolutely. And the way I remember that verse is, if you ask and believe you have received, it will be given upon you. And that's exactly the process. When I say about the SMT method relating directly to scriptures, That's a huge one. You think about building a bit. Now, think about most of the business owners I meet, and they're coming to me and they're at a ceiling. They're at a point where things are stagnant and they're struggling and they're efforting and they're doing all this stuff and it's not changing. And they're changing strategies. Nothing's impacting it. And now they meet me and I go, okay, let's start out by developing a dynamic vision for your life. And they're like, what the heck? But that's exactly what that's doing. It's aligning that scripture in real life. It's saying this is what I truly want. Forget about the minuscule scraps. This is what I truly desire to experience in my business. And then what we do is we start living exactly as the scripture says. We start living by that vision being the reality of our life, not what we're seeing coming up in our daily situations, circumstances, and conditions. So if we have that vision, that's the reality that we choose to call the reality of our life, everything else is just what it looks like as that vision is unfolding. It changes the entire game having something to implementing it like that than it does, trying to go out and effort the things we want into our life.
Yes. That blunt force
Like
trauma. So how about for you, Derek?
go ahead.
Oh, go.
One thing that
Yeah.
like for me, like if I'm living in the vision versus living in the now, like if I get a surprise charge for $5,000 right now, I'm just throwing numbers here. Well, if I'm at 100,000 in sales or whatever, that's a big number. But if I'm living in the future and my vision is for 5 million or whatever that number is, what is that 5,000 to 5 million? Where if I just stay in my ceiling, the number shifts. It's like, oh, it's just 5,000, but if you're focused on that 5,000 in the now versus in the 5 million frequency or 100 million frequency, is like, just pay it and,
Yeah.
it'll all work out. It always does.
Very well
Yes.
said, Mose. And the other part of that, I just want to throw this in here. This SMT method, it's not sit on the couch, grab a bag of chips, put on Netflix, and everything you want is going to come to you. We got to take actions and we got to put efforts and we got to do the strategies. We got to do all of those things to be successful. The difference is when we're coming from that alignment, the vision to the conscious to the subconscious mind, when we're coming from that kind of alignment, we come up with different actions and strategies and plans than when we're going about haphazard and we have all this harmful programming playing out in our decisions to do things, not do things, and everything else.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. You want me to answer, Michael?
Oh, go for it. Yes,
It's
please.
ask and it shall be given, right? So
Yeah.
it's really, so it's kind of potato, right? So if you think it's really difficult, guess what you
Yeah.
get, right? If you
Difficult.
believe in it, that's what you get. But sometimes the hardest part is just to release it, right? It's if I order a roast beef sandwich and then I send my order in, I mean, this is dumbing it down. But then I don't like follow the waiter. Hey, like, you got the roast beef sandwich? Hey, did you get I don't follow him
Yes.
back to the kitchen and keep asking him. I plant
Right.
the seed and I trust that the harvest is going to come because of my faith. And I don't go dig the seed up and be like, why aren't you growing?
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think I've had this conversation multiple times with Joseph because I'll get stuck in the how. Like, I need more marketing. I need more customers. How do I do the SEO? I got to use AI. And he's like, why don't you just go play golf and just see what comes to you, and then I'll get, I'll get an intuition. And then, I will work some 12-hour days and I'll get a spark and I'll be like, okay, I got to redo the website and do this. And, one of the examples was, I've been trying to ramp up my marketing for, forever and a day. And I hired a sales development representative just to make calls and kind of shake tree like a bird dog. Right.
Yeah.
And then she just comes to me out of the blue, like, you mind if I do some like TikTok stuff? And I'm like, what? Like, are you good at marketing? She's like, yeah, I can do some of it. And so then she's my marketing manager now out of the
Nice.
blue.
Wow.
Just to give you an
Yes.
example of how that works. Like, I didn't go look for a marketing manager and dig up I need marketing. I need to be everywhere. So anytime anyone thinks of my product, they know
Mhm.
that we're the best option out there, and we're going to take care of them. And
Yeah.
marketing manager out of the blue, right? So, um, it's really, you get stuck in the how, and he
Mhm.
still has to talk me out of it
Right.
pretty much every
So
week.
Well, and part of the thing with
Yeah.
that scripture is there's 3 parts of it, and 2 of them we're responsible for. I ask, and then I believe that it's been given to me. I believe I have received.
Hmm.
Those 2 parts are critical. Without one of those 2 parts, the whole equation doesn't work. So we
Yeah.
have 2. The third part, and we have a part in this too, is to receive. It's to allow it. So, Derek, when you talked about roast beef, I thought for sure you were going to talk about a boxer puppy because that fits right
Oh, you
along.
want me to tell the
Oh, we
Yeah.
puppy
do.
story?
Yeah.
Please do. We love the dogs.
Okay, so it's a very good example. And so there's also excess importance, right? So if I
Yeah.
plant that seed and it's like super, I have to get to $10 million. Like, why aren't you growing? It's excess importance, right? And so this is a good example. So my wife is Romanian. They don't have dogs in the house in Romania, right? Because they have
Yep.
stuff on their feet, whatever. I don't know. It's a culture thing. So anyway, I had a dog when we got married, and then the dog passed away. That was Georgia number 1. And so then I always wanted Georgia number 2. The kids were getting right around that age, like 8, 9, 10, where
Yeah.
they
You need
kind
a
of
dog.
wanted a dog. She wouldn't let us get a dog, right? And I'm like, she's never going to let us get a dog, right? That was my belief, right? She's not going to let me have a dog. So then I just started playing with it, And this was real early when we started working with it. And I'm like, well, what what if she did let me get a dog? What kind of dog would I get? And I would sit there and I would just stare in the backyard and I would literally play with the puppy, little boxer puppy with
Nice.
they call it flashy fawn. So it's that
Yeah.
brown boxer with like the socks and like the
Yes.
little white marking on their face. And I would literally just sit there and play with the puppy in my mind. And then I would just be like, okay, and then I would just release it. Like, didn't matter to me if we got a puppy or not, right? It's not a big deal, right? That's a huge example. And then out of the blue, um, I started looking at pictures. I looked up European boxers, and so I'm like, oh, okay. Well, if it's European, then maybe my wife will let us get a European boxer because she's European. So then I kind of started playing with that idea. They're a little bit more traditional. They have a really boxy head,
Uh-huh.
broad shoulders, really tapered hips, and they're much more guard dog, pack animal, not as spazzy. I don't know if you ever had an
Right.
American boxer,
Yep.
but they're pretty spazzy. Like if you open the door, like they're gone. But like this European boxer, like you open the door, she's like, "Are you coming?" And so then anyway, like I ended up getting on a waiting list that was like 2 years long for some European boxer puppy. I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna get on the top of the list. And then out of the blue, the guy emails me. He's like, "Hey, we're trying to get rid of some people on our waiting list. Don't you live in Texas?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, there's a lady in Fort Worth that bred a purebred with our dog, and she's got a litter.
Wow.
You might want to give her a call." And I'm like, "Oh, come on, man. My wife's never gonna let me have a dog. Still, wife's never gonna let me have a dog, right? But maybe let's just see. Let's just see." So I started looking at pictures. Send the family. I had a little family text string. Send everybody the picture. Let's go look at the puppies. And if you go look at the puppies, like, I mean, you're not gonna go look at the puppy and be like,
Yeah.
no.
Right.
So I was still kind of like, I don't know, is she gonna? And then we went and we drove up to Fort Worth, and rest is history, man. And that was just real simple, like
Wow.
literally just
Nice.
sitting in a chair, looking in my backyard, playing with the puppy in my mind, and then it wasn't. I wasn't very long at all, maybe a month.
Yeah.
Where I had gone
Yeah.
maybe 5, 6 years where it's like, you can't have a dog, you can't have a dog.
Right.
She's not gonna let you have a dog. And it's
Yes.
just a great dog, and a constant reminder to me, like whenever I
Yeah.
come up with a block, I'm like, that's how easy it is.
Right.
That's
Yes.
all
Oh,
3
that.
parts of that scripture, and we wouldn't be complete in this conversation if we didn't bring you up, Mose, with a new warehouse.
Yes.
when I started, actually before I started with Joseph, I had a dream vision of in my mind of having a new warehouse. It was a storage building here where we live, and 9-foot ceiling, so we couldn't put much racking in. We couldn't stack very high, and I wanted to have a personal shop here, but also with the business that we had, I was like, I'll just build a big shop for personal and use it for the business, and then until the business outgrows. So Joseph helped me write that vision of, the new warehouse, and I had it in 2022, September of 2022. I wrote that vision for 2025. So in 2024, towards the end of 2024, like middle December, Friday nights, I didn't have anything to do. So I drew, and I knew 2025 was right around the corner for my vision to, and I still did not, I believed it, but I still didn't, maybe like Derek, like I wanted it, but I couldn't see how it could happen. Like that we would be financially, ready for that. I scribbled my drawing the shop exactly how I wanted. In my vision, I had on there that I wanted a large conference room for a couple people, and but I drew my shop on scribbles paper, and had the shelving. I actually did it to scale then on a software that I use, and had the racking all planned out. But I still didn't know anything how that would happen, and so I put them in a file, and just few days later, out of the blue, God asked me just in my mind, why not now? And so I thought about it a little bit, and I was like, well, I feel we can get financing, and we'll have less products in, the beginning of 2025, and we'll have them hopefully inventory then in end of 2025. So I made one phone call between Christmas and New Year's to the contractor that I had in my phone for probably a year already, that I knew I wanted to go with him, but I just, I had it in my phone. And he was like, well, they're closed between Christmas and New Year. They'll come out January 2nd, look at my drawings. And they came out, and a week later they had a rough, like an actual drawing, you could see the shop now. And so we went back and forth. I asked the first phone call, I asked them if they have any openings for this summer. So initially the vision was for September of 2025. So they said, yes, they have openings for summer of 2025. So I was like, well, June, July, maybe now. And in one of our meetings that we were, and the drawing that they had was pretty much like I had drawn. We changed a little bit. But then I asked him, one of the meetings, I asked him, so what's the timeline? Then it was like, we have one foundation before yours. So this was middle of January now. And one foundation before I was like, okay. And then another, I don't know, was it in that same meeting, but another one that was huge for me was with the way that I had made my scribbles, I could no way get my conference room in there. And he didn't know anything about it. He didn't know that I wanted a conference room. And then in one of those meetings, it was like, I could put attic trusses on the office part here, and we could have a nice room up there. I was like, absolutely. There's my conference room. February 17th, they moved in, tore the old building down, and 10 weeks later, we moved into the new warehouse, and then a month later into the offices. So we went from be 3,000 square feet to 3,000 to 5,800 square feet, plus a conference room on upstairs. So it just blew my mind. Like, and I had zero stress. Like I always thought, if you build a project, you'll have all kinds of stress. Made a phone call or two to the bank. They were like, oh yeah, that won't be a problem. There's a lot of people that don't believe it,
Right.
that it can
Yeah.
happen like that. And
Right.
now with
It's
everything, the shop is done. Now we can operate. We have so much more capacity for inventory. A little over a year ago, I had no plans whatsoever.
Wow.
so when
Wow.
you ask about that scripture, Michael,
Yes.
and we have hundreds of clients who would have testament to that as well. It's absolutely true. We ask, believe we received, and then allow it to show up, which means that
Yeah.
we don't block it.
And
Yeah.
I did
Let it run to you.
similar. similar to
That's the
what Derek
hardest
did.
part,
Yeah,
allowing it.
Yeah.
I used to go out into our old warehouse with the 9-foot ceiling and look up into the now ceiling, which is like a 16-foot sidewall with a 22-foot
Wow.
peak cathedral. So I would look up into that ceiling and just see all my inventory stacked up there and
Hmm.
in my mind's eye, and now I can do that.
Wow, that's so good. So we're getting close to the end of our hour, and it has flown by. And uh, I definitely thank you, gentlemen, for being so authentic and candid with us. Dr. Joseph, I wanted to ask you about your book, Breaking the Attachment Patterns, Keeping Your Business Small, because that mentions a 7-day transformation. You don't just do the coaching, but there you've got the book right there on the screen. Is it really possible to shift behaviors that have been ingrained for decades in just 1 week?
I think on my life, but I think you've heard from two
Yeah.
of my clients here, not
Yes.
just the possibility, but the evidence of it doing so.
Mhm. Absolutely.
If you
Uh,
want
yeah,
to,
if we want to.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
if you
I
want to,
I'm
you
very
like
stubborn. You can ask Joseph. He tells me stuff, and I'm like, it's not gonna work. What are you? That's not. And then
Yeah.
you know, I wouldn't say I'm a willing participant either. I mean, he he got me through kicking and screaming.
Mhm. That's
From the
good.
old beliefs. I mean, it's just so they're so ingrained. It's
Mose and Derek, was there an aha moment that really sticks out in your mind? Where the light just came on and all the little critters scurried into the darkness.
yeah, I'll take that one. Goes back to my whoopee. I think I had my W-2, and
Yeah.
I had an outside sales territory, and they brought in a new VP of marketing, and I would just come home, and I had a VA that would help me, and he would do stuff, and then I would do all the plans at night, and then ship them out. I would drive to the airport at like 9:30 at night, and I was doing them both at the same time, or so it's like chase two rabbits, get none, right? So
Yeah.
kind of spinning my wheels there, but reluctant to. You're not going to have health insurance. You're not going to have a 401k. Like, what are you going to do? You can't. You have to have a job. And then I came into work one day, and I'm like, oh, the HR lady's here. Oh, somebody's getting fired. And then they're like, Derek, can you come in the office? And I'm, oh, it's me. It was like a switch. I was because like I want to say a week before that, I was in a networking event, right? And I'm deep into the like you have to become what you want to be. And I'm in this networking event, and these are all chemical salespeople that are kind of lifers that work for these companies. They got their 401k. They're not business owners. They're not what I'm
Mhm.
envisioning myself to be, right? And I'm just sitting there, and I'm just like in a total daze and just daydreaming. And I'm like, I'm in the wrong room. This is not the right room. And so they call me in and they fire me. And then I immediately called Joseph, and he could tell
Wow.
you. And he said, what happened? And I said, I think this is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me.
Mm.
I just got fired. And he's like, what are you going to do? And I'm like, I'm going to go full speed into my business. And I think we did, 70,000 that month. Like, then that
Wow.
was like, probably, that was at least 4 times what we had ever done in a month previous. So
Wow. All
Yeah, it
right,
was close.
Mose.
After that, when you
Oh.
called me up, you were pretty stressed. It just happened. You walked out of the building. So things
Mm.
happen to help push us out there. This is where now we're going to grow. And
Yeah.
you've done that.
yeah, yeah, it was, I just reframed it. So I could have been like, oh, what am I going to do? Oh, poor little me. When I just instantly reframed it. Well, thank you to Joseph, obviously, but, it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Now I can just go
Nice.
full speed into my business, and it definitely was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. So
Wow.
blowing and going since that.
Oh, that's great. And how about for you, Mose? An aha moment.
For me, it was a similar experience like Derek had. I didn't get fired, but I got um $10,000 pay cut. That was before Joseph, but it like looking back now, I was like that God was pushing me into where I am today,
Mm.
and now I know I'm living my calling. They didn't openly fire me, but take $10,000 pay cut, and I was, team leader in research and development at a manufacturing company, and basically overnight is like, hey, you got a $10,000 pay cut, and you're going out in manufacturing, just going to be a worker on the line.
Wow.
And so I don't know how long I barely a year that I hung around. So like my business, I had started my business in 2019, and by 2020, just before COVID hit, this had all changed. And right before COVID hit, I quit my full-time job. So I quit on my own, but because of what they did internally. Now looking back is like, how in the world did I even make it through there with COVID and everything? But that was an aha moment. And then come 2022, I knew I was where God wanted me to be with my calling and everything, but I was still burned out and, we weren't busy because it was, February, March, and April, whatever. And so I was just stressed out. And then, I started looking for that. And I think we might have met, July or August of that year, but signed the contract in September then. And so that was my aha moment, before Joseph, but the shop was like with Joseph, the coaching and the help that he's done for me, walking with me was the shop. Like, why did I start drawing that Friday nights? Why didn't I just quit? And I just got the urge to start drawing, and I didn't even know where, other than from that vision, as because I knew that 2025 is coming, and my vision is like, and at that time I was thinking like, well, maybe we'll get it started in December so we can say we started in 2025. And like, boom, by December of 2025, we had a brand new shop.
That's good.
And one of the things you had asked about, breakthrough moments.
Yes.
Michael and Derek and Mose, both of you guys, don't breakthrough moments seem more normal than they ever have before in your life?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's worth the price of admission right there. Gentlemen, this has been an incredible look into what is truly possible when we get out of our own way. So, Dr. Joseph, thank you for the tools. Derek and Mose, thank you for the inspiration and the proof that this works. Listeners, we're seeing and hearing firsthand results of the SMT method, which is why here at 5am Podcast, we've partnered with Dr. Joseph to make this accessible to you. If you are ready to break the patterns, maybe get that thing that you thought was impossible, and keeping your business small, those patterns, and keeping your vision small, then please head over to 5am.smtmethod.com. You can go there. You can see the blueprint that we've discussed today, and you can schedule that all-important brief 15-minute conversation with Dr. Joseph to see if this is your year for that rapid growth. So that address again, 5am.smtmethod.com. Gentlemen, Dr. Joseph, Derek, and Mose, thank you so much for joining us for the 5am podcast.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Michael.
Thank you for joining us, Michael, and both of you guys, Derek and Mose, man. You guys fill my heart to see where you were when we met and what you guys are doing today and the way you've picked this up and run with it. You guys are heroes. Both of you guys are heroes, and I just so blessed to know both of you. And you too, Michael.
Go and let God.
Absolutely. Yes.
So easy yet so hard.
Easier said than done, Mose.
It is. It is. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you got to believe. Yeah. Yeah.
That's right.
And those visions that you get, I mean, you're a child of the Most High God, created in His image. I feel like those aren't my visions, right? This is what He wants me to do, right? That's why He got me fired and pushed me out of the nest, and
Yeah.
Yes.
But really appreciate it.
What an incredible look into what's truly possible when we get out of our own way. From playing with that dream boxer in your imagination to watching a 5,800 square foot warehouse rise from the ground in just 10 weeks. The evidence is clear. As Mose said it so perfectly, let go and let God. Now, that's easy to say, but it's the hardest thing to actually do without the right tools. If you're listening to this and you realize that your vision has been playing small. If maybe you're ready to bridge that gap between what you know you should be doing and the results you're actually seeing, I want to encourage you to take the next step. Head over to 5am.smtmethod.com. Dr. Joseph has created a dedicated space for our 5 a.m. listeners to see the blueprint we've discussed today. You can also schedule that all-important 15-minute conversation with Dr. Joseph to see if this is your year for a radical breakthrough. And to you, our listeners, remember to seize your day, enjoy those sunrises and sunsets and all those beautiful adventures in between. Your future awaits. I'm Michael Clausen, and I will see you on the next 5 a.m. podcast.